All right, folks, this is a live Oklahoma weather alert here. William Cole in the Forecast Center. Of course, you were watching the replay of our forecast show at 4 p.m., but we are back with you live now with a weather update, especially for our friends in Northwestern Oklahoma. That's where we actually have this new severe thunderstorm watch. You see the counties in blue up here, and again, that is in effect here until 10 p.m. this evening. There is an opportunity of severe weather again up in that part of the state. So here's the overview. Again, our team of trackers are out. We're going to talk to them coming up momentarily. In central Oklahoma, it's all quiet. And again, if you're making those Saturday evening plans, central Oklahoma, it's going to remain a quiet evening. We have the ending rain and storms over in eastern Oklahoma. That's what blew through the state earlier today. And again, that's now ending over in eastern Oklahoma. But again, now our attention is turning into portions of northwestern Oklahoma. We have this cool front area of low pressure here. And again, as expected, we are bubbling up some thunderstorms now late this afternoon. And there is an opportunity once these storms take hold that they could be quite severe. And again, large hail up to the size of baseballs could be possible with the strongest storms. And any storm near this boundary, there is also a limited tornado threat with that activity as well. So let's go and zoom in. We'll kind of take a closer inspection. Mesoscan XR will also talk with our team of trackers here as well. But again, as we zoom in there to northwestern Oklahoma, right now there's nothing severe anywhere in the state. Again, we're just watching this activity essentially just now developing. But let's zoom in here. First of all, we'll kind of start here in west central Oklahoma, then we'll just kind of work our way to the north. And this is one storm we've been watching here for really about the last 30 minutes or so. This is out here in Dewey County, and it's basically gone from Leedy. It's just kind of meandering there back through the Putnam area. And again, we're watching the storm, again, just to kind of see if it's going to take hold, kind of root in, and kind of get its act together. Notice it is south of the severe thunderstorm watch, but in this case, it doesn't really matter because we're fairly unstable out in that part of the state. And then we also have additional storms that have formed, and they're essentially beginning to kind of wane on down. But I can tell you this storm up here by Waynoka, I'm just now starting to see some lightning. That's one of the telltale signs you always look for as you're waiting to see if a storm is going to strengthen, if it's actually going to mature, because so far most of these storms have not had any lightning. And again, if you see these little lightning bolts here, we're just now starting to get some cloud to ground strikes out of this storm. It doesn't look very well organized, not very impressive here on radar at all. But again, we are getting some signals now that that storm may be trying to strengthen. So again, we're just waiting to see which storm strengthens, which storm takes hold, and again, what storm or storms we will be tracking again as we go through the evening. But again, right now, kind of showery activity, again, with some lightning, so a bona fide thunder shower moving through the Waynoka area. Also north there of Highway 64 in Woods County, another shower up in that part of the state. Then as we go out here into portions of far northwestern Oklahoma, let me zoom in on this. And again, this is a little bit closer to the boundary that we're watching. And again, like I mentioned, anything near that boundary, at least as we go through the evening, we've got to at least watch for a limited tornado potential with that. Now, even though these storms look a little more concerning because there's a little bit more in the way of red, these storms are also now at about 40,000 feet, whereas those others are only at about 20,000 feet. You're looking for the higher base storms. That's what you're looking for as we go through the evening. But again, even with these right now so far, not necessarily picking up on any lightning. So are these storms going to continue to mature? Are they going to continue to strengthen? Again, those are the questions that, again, we'll be at least trying to answer here over the next 30 minutes to an hour. We should kind of be at least getting some clearer details as we go over the next 30 minutes to an hour of, again, what storm is going to try and root in, and again, what storm may be a little more concerning, again, as we go through the evening. This is what I also want to do. I want to go and pull on our storm trackers because they're out in the field. And Trey Smith, you're on the live line with us first of all. We're looking at your video there, and I believe you're north of Watonga now, but tell us exactly where you are, and we'll update that for you. And again, give us that storm there in Dewey County.
Yes, William. I am just north of Oakwood off of 281, and I'm watching the storm as it's trying to get its act together over here, and I may be repositioning here in a little bit just to get a little bit further east of it so I can keep watching it.
Yeah, Trey,
back to you.
Yeah, Trey, I appreciate that update. And again, you're watching that cell down there around the Dewey County area. And I can tell you, Trey, just this last little sweep that we've gotten in, and we'll double box this here, but the last sweep that's coming in, it looks like that storm's trying to strengthen up a little bit. So again, that's one we've really got to keep our eyes on. It's kind of detached from the rest of the storms. And again, anytime that's the case, again, that's always one you got to keep your eyes on. But again, as we're looking at this kind of double boxed up here, again, this is the storm we're talking about. Still no lightning with it, but it's essentially there between Highway 270 and Highway 183, again, out there in eastern Dewey County. And even as I roll this into motion here, Again, you can see the cell, it's just kind of been meandering, not moving very fast, kind of drifting there to the east and to the northeast. But at least currently, this is at least currently the strongest it's been. And again, keep in mind, it's not severe. None of these storms are at severe levels. But again, what we're doing right now, we're basically watching just to see, again, what storm is going to root in. And again, what storms we're going to be tracking again as we go deeper through the evening. So let's do this. Let's also go and check in with Peyton here as well. And I believe he is no longer in the Sealing area. I know he's north of that. We'll update your city there location as well. But Peyton, tell us where you are now and go and give us an update on your storms.
Hey, William, we are coming into Moreland. We're just outside of Woodward, just to the east of Woodward. Kind of like you touched on earlier, we do see fairly decent-sized storm blowing up here on the other side of Woodward. So we're going to try to get up there by Fort Supply and maybe try to cut it off. Back to you, William.
Okay, really appreciate that update there as well. So you're up there in the Moreland area, and that's going to be there just to the east of Woodward. Again, you see that little red dot, that's where Peyton is, that's his live GPS. And again, anytime these storms, just like we mentioned now a couple times here, begin to approach the boundary or cross the boundary, those are always things you got to watch carefully. And I can tell you, Peyton, even though this is kind of minor, and again, we're kind of splitting hairs here, obviously, but we do have now one cloud of ground lightning strike with this storm. And I know that sounds minimal as we're just kind of talking about this. You're saying one cloud of ground lightning strike. That's really not a big deal. But again, we're watching these storms to see which one will mature or which storms, plural, will mature. And again, that's where the guys will kind of have to position again to chase again as we go through the evening. But again, this storm right now crossing the boundary, we've got to watch that carefully. And like I said, it is maturing a little bit more now that we're in fact even getting a little bit of cloud of ground lightning now associated with that storm. As we look at the hail core trackers, so far not much in the way of hail. Now that cell just north of Waynoken, that's the other one we still got to keep our eyes on. That one, by the way, Peyton, has also come up fairly quickly here too. And in fact, that one now has a hail core on it. And that's happened just within maybe the last 5 minutes since we've been on the air. So we're kind of splitting hairs watching both of those. But that one there near the Waynoka area, that's come up fairly quickly. And so as we look at the hail core tracker, there's going to at least be a dime-sized hail core just west of Highway 14. And again, that's going to be there in Woods County. And in general, that's going to be tracking up towards Alva and Arvard. So again, you folks in those hometowns, heads up on that. But again, right now, none of this activity severe. Again, we're just waiting to see what strengthens and what potentially comes up to severe levels. But I can tell you, just looking at radar here, the storms in Kansas that were not severe either, they're just now going severe too. So it looks like here as we go over the next 30 minutes or so, these storms in Oklahoma, not all of them, but a few of these, again, will come up to severe levels. And again, that's what we're going to be tracking carefully now, again, as we go through the evening. But at least right now, the strongest storm in the state, it is that storm right there around the Waynoka area. And again, there's at least an opportunity there now of some dime-sized hail. I want to just go back to Trey. We're just going to kind of bounce around with our storm trackers here a little bit. Again, we're essentially just killing time, for lack of a better word, till we figure out what storm is going to do what. But Trey, as we're looking at your storm, I'm going to pull the radar back down here into portions of Dewey County. And it tried to kind of intensify a little bit, but now it almost looks like it's weakening, and it's really not much more than a shower. As you're out there in the field, again, there around the Oakwood area, eyeballing it, give us an update on that storm.
Yeah, it's lost its luster look on radar, but it's been doing that for the past 20, 30 minutes that I've been sitting here watching it. It'll look good for a couple of frames, and then it'll just die off for a couple of frames on radar. So it's just trying to get its act together. I'll still watch it. Okay. Back to you.
Okay. All right. Really appreciate that update, Trey. Good job on it. And actually, as we say that, there's actually now a strike of lightning with it. And I know, again, a lot of times here in the forecast center, we're not saying, oh, there's a strike of lightning and that means anything. But I just want to preface again that on a day like today, where we're just waiting for stuff to bubble, nothing severe yet, we're just trying to see what is going to strengthen and what storms are going to take hold. Again, a strike of lightning, that can be a sign that a storm is trying to strengthen because some of these storms are going to go away. So, and just to take this a little bit further, some of these storms, maybe one or two of them, maybe more, will root into the atmosphere and they'll become potentially supercells. They'll potentially become severe as we go through the evening. There are other cells you're seeing here currently that over the next hour, they're going to wither, they're going to die, and they're going to go away, and they were nothing more than ever a shower. So that's what we're watching for. And again, that's why we have our team of storm trackers, red dots. Their live GPS locations. Right now, as things are just initially developing, we're waiting to see which of these storms will route in. And again, as they begin to route in, that's when our team of storm trackers will kind of take over chasing one of those specific storms. But right now, just looking at radar, looking at data, it's kind of inconclusive as to which one it will be. Now, I can tell you this one here in Woods County is the strongest storm. This one crossing the boundary, it's about 40,000 feet tall. I think we got to watch that one. And then the one down there by Trey, it's just kind of down there by itself. And not that it's been very strong, and again, not that any of these have been to severe levels at all, but it's still worth watching. And again, like I mentioned, there has been some lightning, and sometimes when you get lightning, that can be a sign of intensification. So we're still watching that, still that strike of lightning getting down there around the Oakwood area. We'll pull this to the north. We're going to check right back in with Peyton, but I can tell you this storm here in Woods County, it's most likely going to go severe pretty quickly. So we've got hail now up to about the size of pennies with it. Quarter size would officially be the threshold of severe hail. But again, lots of locally heavy rain associated with this one. And again, there is some lightning. So that's going to be tracking up there towards Highway 64, Alva, and it's going to be moving through the Arvard area there as well. But again, there will be an opportunity with this cell of some penny size hail. And then as we go back further to the west here, again, this is one I still really think we have to watch carefully, again, as it's crossing the boundary now out there just south of Fort Supply. And that's essentially where we have Peyton. Peyton, you're looking at that cell there from the Moreland area. You're approaching Woodward. Again, give us another update on that storm right there.
Yeah, William, we're still plugging along here. It's direct west on 412. It is really warm out here. The truck's reading 82 right now. So, like I said, it's warm. It obviously has the conditions to do it, but we're still plugging west, trying to get a little closer.
And Peyton, we may be losing you for just 1 second. I'm not totally sure. I may just be the connection. I don't know if we're on speakerphone or not, but we may be losing you for just a second. And it may just be because, again, you're between Moreland and Woodward, and the cell phone service is maybe just a little more spotty. So we may be losing you for just a second. We're going to check back in with you. We'll just kind of give you a few seconds there. But again, what Peyton's saying, this is his storm there. And so again, he's coming into the Woodward area. There's Woodward. There's his live GPS red dot. And again, there's his storm. So again, that's a good look at the storm there. And so again, this is it right here. It continues to get stronger. It continues to mature. Again, this storm's about 40,000 feet tall. It has had just a little bit of lightning with it. Again, right now, non-severe, not even a hail core with it. But again, as these storms cross the boundary, that is always one thing you got to pay extra special attention to, and especially on days like today. So we're going to be tracking that boundary, and any storm riding or crossing the boundary, we'll be tracking that carefully. Let's go and take a look here, and we're going to zoom out. We just was getting some new information in here as well. We're going to get back down to Trey momentarily, and we're going to check back in with Peyton coming up. We're just going to give him a little more time just with that cell phone connection there. And I want to zoom back in here to Woods County. And so again, we're starting to get some black here on this hail core. So this storm should be going severe now. It's essentially up to about quarter size hail, and that quarter size hail core is going to be crossing over Highway 14. And so the hail core itself is going to stay just to the north of Arvard, but it's going to be tracking up towards the Alva area and Highway 64. But again, some quarter-size hail, if not larger, could be possible now. And one of the big concerns with some of these storms, again, as we go through the evening, is quite a bit larger hail. Again, right now we're talking about quarters. You see the area black right there, hail core developing now. But we could, with the strongest storm of the evening, and this is not a stretch, have up to the size of baseball size hail. We could have some quite severe storms as we go through the evening. But again, this hail core really coming up fairly quickly now. Again, right now at quarters, becoming severe. And we should see a warning from the Weather Service coming out here on this one, I would imagine, fairly soon. Let's see. Weather Service also saying that they are seeing the increasing lightning on that northern Ellis County storm, and also the western Woods County. Obviously, that's the storm we're looking at now. So the Weather Service also, Peyton, watching your storm there crossing the boundary. I want to go back down to the south here. I want to check back in with Trey. This is the storm. It's kind of been hanging on, but the lightning is increasing. Trey, it's not looking very healthy on radar, but the lightning is trying to increase on it a little bit. And again, this is still out here in far eastern Dewey County, and it's going to be just east of the Putnam area. It's going to be coming right into Oakwood, right there where you are, right there along Highway 270. But Trey, give us another update on this storm. A little bit of lightning, but still not looking too impressive on radar.
Yeah, William, this isn't looking very good on radar, but I'm starting to actually see a little bit of a base on it, where it's actually got just an area of where it's pulling in air. It's trying, and I'm actually getting a few raindrops. Like I said, I'm about to have to go jump east on this so I can stay ahead of it a little bit more. But it's trying. It's really going to hold on.
I tell you, Trey, in the last scan, great report. In the last scan, just like you said, it's been trying and trying and trying. In the last scan, it's actually come up in intensity there. So the last sweep that just come in. So again, this is kind of what we're doing as we go over the next 30 minutes or so. Again, just seeing what storms are going to intensify and what storms are going to come up to potentially severe levels. But again, you saw where we just kind of had some yellows and oranges. We now got some reds coming up here. Still no hail core, but we are getting some cloud to ground lightning. And a lot of times cloud to ground lightning can be a telltale sign of a strengthening storm. Look at Peyton's shot there. Again, he's coming up on that storm there in Ellis County, and it's sitting right there along that cool front. So let's go and zoom out the radar. Let's go and try and get in contact with him again up there. I know we were having a few cell phone problems a second ago. That storm, it's looking marginal on radar, but it's holding together. Peyton, let's go back to your video here. And if you can at least try again now, and maybe we have a better connection. But you see Peyton's live GPS dot, the red dot there coming into Woodward. Peyton, give us an update on that storm. Again, we're seeing it great there in your video.
Hey, William, we are just now pulling into Woodward. I believe you can see that on the shot. The service is pretty good now. It looks like I'm starting to see a little bit of a base on this storm. Like I said, it's really building up, man. It is warm out here. It is thick. It is humid. And, it's looking like it's really trying to get its act together. And I can turn around, and I can still see that cell you're talking about heading towards the Alva area. And, man, that thing really does look like it's got its act together, too. It is really, really bubbling back behind us. But back to you, William.
Yeah, so these are essentially the three storms that we're tracking, at least currently. And, again, we'll see what does what with these. But I'll kind of zoom this out a little bit. And again, as I do that, this is the storm that Peyton's talking about. You see it right there. In general, it's going to be approaching the Fort Supply area. And that storm up there by in Woods County did just go severe warned, by the way. And so again, that's going to be the Woods County storm. Let me go and get the details on that. And so again, severe thunderstorm warning here again for quarter-size hail, like we mentioned, and that's going to be until 6 p.m. this evening. So again, our first severe thunderstorm warning of the evening. It's just now coming out here for Woods County. Let me go and zoom in. And again, you can see the hail core. It's fairly evident. And again, where you're seeing the pinks going to blacks. Of course, anytime you see black on a weather radar, you definitely know there's some hail involved. Here's the hail core tracker. Now, I can tell you, just based off the hail core tracker, the hail, at least intensity here, has maybe come down just a notch, because we had some indications maybe 5 minutes ago where we had the greens going to yellows that there was potentially some quarter-size hail there. The hail core tracker easing down just a notch, though. But again, Weather Service still saying quarters possible here. And again, in general, that hail core, you see it's going to be tracking right up towards the Alva area. And with these storms today, again, rapid intensification is possible. And again, the primary concern as we go through the evening could be some large hail. And so even though we're just talking about quarters right now, if this storm were to rapidly intensify, again, there would be an opportunity for much larger than quarter-size hail. So again, Arvard, Alva, all the way up there through the Capron area, all the way up to the Oklahoma-Kansas line, Highway 281 there to the north. Again, definitely stay weather alert to this storm. Again, this is now a severe storm, and again, an opportunity for some 60-mile-per-hour winds and quarter-size hail. And again, the storm just kind of drifting off there to the northeast, but eventually towards the Alva area. So again, you folks there in Alva and Highway 64, Highway 281 junction there, again, big heads up on this storm. Again, we're tracking it carefully, again, as it drifts up in your location. So let's zoom this out. I want to go back down to the south. And Trey, I tell you, that storm down there by you continues to intensify as well. So this is the one down here by Oakwood, and we've been watching this. It was kind of a shower. It wasn't really doing much, and then it tried to kind of intensify a little bit. We had some lightning with it, and it's kind of beginning to hold its own. There's still no hail core associated with it. But the storm, I tell you what, Trey, the storm itself, we're looking at the top of it here, it's now up to about 40,000 feet. So it's definitely grown, and that's what you call vertical development. So the storm, it's getting taller, and as it gets taller, that's when a hail core becomes a little more possible with it. But we've had more in the way of vertical development, I mean, literally just within maybe the last 5 to 10 minutes since we last spoke with you. So again, this is definitely a storm we got to watch. Trey's right there on Highway 270. And Trey, we're looking at your video. You're right there. Give us an update on this storm.
Yeah, I'm going to drop back south a little bit and go back here to where I can get on a 54 towards Canton. That gets me just a couple of more miles east of it. Gives it a little bit more time to come to me again, so I can just keep an eye on it. I was starting to get into some rain, so I just want to get back ahead of it.
Okay. Yep. Trey, really appreciate that update. Doing a great job. And I would definitely keep an eye on this storm. So we're going to watch this one carefully here. Again, it's not even officially within the severe thunderstorm watch, but again, we'll continue to keep our eyes on that one. This other storm, I mean, we've been watching it. Again, the one that Peyton's on up here. Again, this is up around the Fort Supply area now. It's kind of sitting right there on the boundary. Now, the one thing this storm does have going for it is it's got some lightning where it didn't have any lightning. It had a little lightning earlier, but then it didn't. And so it looks like it's trying to get a little bit of lightning to go now. No hail core still associated with that storm. And so all that's good. I mean, of course, we don't want any severe weather, but again, we're just tracking this carefully minute by minute. But Peyton, you're still looking at it. Again, I'm starting to get a little lightning with it. We still only have the one severe storm, again, up there near the Arvard area, eventually tracking towards Alva with quarter-size hail. We've been watching this one carefully only because it's been riding the boundary. It's been sitting right there along the boundary. And so it looks like it's waning a little bit on radar, but it's still got a little bit of that lightning now associated with it. Go and give us an update on that storm.
Yeah, William. So we got into Woodward and we ended up taking 34 north. We're going to get out ahead of this thing just a little bit so we can track right towards us. But I'm agreeing with what you're saying. You know, it doesn't look too impressive on radar, but lightning is starting to tick up just a tad bit. So we're going to get up here just a little farther north, let it come to us, and go from there.
No, that's a perfect plan. Yeah, just get to the north of it, let that thing come to you, and we're just going to continue to watch it. And again, right now we're just in a way playing the waiting game with these storms to again see what truly happens with it. Trey, I'm telling you, that storm down there by you, I still really think we need to watch. Just kind of watching the structure on that storm. So you're in perfect position down there on that, but let's really keep our eyes on it. And then again, let's take another look at our lone severe storm. And again, this is up here in Woods County, and it's basically moving just north of the Arvard area now. It's going to be eventually tracking up there towards Alva. So again, the folks there in the Alva area, again, heads up on that, moving into your area as we take a look at the hail core tracker. Again, hail core, it kind of came up briefly, and this was about 15 minutes ago. And since then, even though the storm looks fairly impressive on radar, the hail core really not looking as impressive. And I can tell you, folks, in fact, this storm really, it's kind of going through a bit of a weakening phase right now. Again, where we had kind of the widespread pink and even some of the black showing maybe more impressive hail core 5 minutes ago, if you were joining us then. Now, again, you can see the storm. It appears to be weakening some. It's even a little more linear, and a lot of that hail core is starting to go away. Again, regardless, the severe thunderstorm warning continues there. But again, the storm just kind of weakening, and it could just be cycling. Again, we'll watch it here over the next 5 to 10 minutes. It could easily come back up strength level, but at least right now there's a bit of a weakening trend with this storm. Again, as it tracks there, essentially right towards the Highway 64 corridor. And as I back this up in time, again, you can see over the last 10 minutes, see that where the hail core there was black, fairly impressive. And then again, as I roll this forward in motion, again, you can see that hail core go away and the storm just kind of gets stretched and it becomes a little more linear. And sometimes that can be a little more indicative of a weakening storm or a storm that's trying to become a little more multicellular, and the risk of severe weather can at times decrease with that. I want to go back down here one more time. We're going to check Peyton's storm. Peyton's storm appears to be weakening around Fort Supply as well. But this storm down here by the Oakwood area, there's more in the way of lightning, and we're finally getting our first blip of potential hail. And again, this is a storm that quickly came up. It was kind of a shower. It was kind of lingering there for the longest time. And again, as we're looking at vertical development now, the height within the storm, again, we're up to about 35,000 feet here. So the storm continues to grow in size. Trey, I know you're repositioning, and as soon as you get repositioned, just let me know. But I still want to go and get an update from you because, again, we're getting our first little glimpse of a couple smatterings of maybe some pea-sized hail in this storm. It continues to strengthen, and it looks like we're even starting to get just a little bit of an inflow notch there on the back side of it. But Trey, give us an update on this storm that essentially is moving through the Oakwood area right now.
Yeah, I'm having to look over my shoulder to get you an update on it. From what I can see, it's got some still pretty decent structure on it right now. As I said, I'm trying to get down to Highway 54 that goes into Canton, I believe is what it is, or 58. And I'll be able to, once I'm on there, I can turn back north and we'll be able to see it a lot better.
Yeah, and so what Trey's saying...
Back to you, William.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that update, Trey. And so what Trey's saying, is here's kind of the road network he's talking about. So that's his red GPS dot right there. This is Highway 58 right here. I know it's a little hard to see. So he's actually having to go down and around. So that's why in his shot, you're not necessarily seeing anything because he's traveling south. And then as he turns back around, he'll be coming back north and he'll be able to get a better look at this cell. So he's just quickly right now kind of repositioning a little bit because where he was there in Oakwood, as that storm would have passed him, he really would have had nowhere necessarily to go. So that's why he's kind of doing this quick little U-turn, and then he'll be tracking back up to the north and we'll get a better shot of that storm. But at least right now there are some indications that that storm is trying to strengthen. And again, we are at least getting the first indications of potentially some pea-sized hail with it. So pea-sized hail, again, possible with this storm, again, as it moves through the Oakwood area. Let's go back up here to the north and let's go and get another update on this cell here that again is approaching Peyton. Again, still one we want to keep our eye on. It's approaching and really crossing now Highway 183. Again, not severe, but again, there is some lightning with it. There is some locally heavy rain. Still not really picking up on much of a hail core. This is one that looked a little more organized maybe 15 minutes ago. And it's, again, sitting right over this boundary. It's one of the things we got to watch today, but right now looking a little more disorganized. But Peyton, we're looking at your shot. Give us an update on it.
Yeah, William. So we're sitting here probably about 5 miles north of Woodward. If you can see in my shot, we're basically facing right to where the focal point of this storm would be. And, we're not seeing a lot. It's not very impressive visually right now either. I mean, it has all the parameters to do it, but just outside of Woodward, I was getting 82-degree temperatures, and now I'm up here closer to this thing, and I'm getting about 76 with a north little breeze. So it is noticeably cooler the closer we get to this thing.
Yeah, and you're literally right there on the boundary, and you may be actually on the north side of the boundary. So again, we kind of have some northerly winds and temperatures dropping just a couple degrees. So, the computer is placing this boundary, and I keep saying the boundary, this cool front, because this cool front's really the trigger for the potential of severe weather as we go through the evening. And whenever you have a storm or a potential severe storm that is sitting directly on top of a cool front or a boundary, you just kind of got to keep extra special attention on that storm. That doesn't mean there's anything extra that's going to happen with it, but whenever it is sitting on a boundary or riding a boundary, you just always pay extra special attention, and that's what we're doing to this storm. So even though the computer is placing the boundary right here, it's probably by now just a little bit further to the east. So there's Peyton's live GPS, and so again, that storm essentially is still sitting on that boundary, but the boundary is just a little bit further there to the east. So when Peyton says he went from the 80s, lower 80s, high 70s to some mid 70s, that's again because there's a bit more of a northerly breeze there, and he's just on the back side of the boundary. But again, regardless, this is a storm we got to continue to watch up there. And again, that's his shot, again, coming in from that storm. I want to go back down here just quickly to Trey, and let's also pop out to Woods County, and we'll take another look at, again, our only severe storm currently. And again, this storm just continues to look a little more disorganized. In fact, the hail on it now, it's actually back down to right around dime size. We came up to quarters. Now, there's quite a bit of lightning with this storm. This storm is quite electrically active. But this storm is actually going through a weakening phase. Now, it could easily strengthen back up. It came up to severe levels with quarter-size hail. It's now decreased back down to right around dimes. And again, it's a little more elongated. It looks like it's trying to go a little more multicellular here than the potential for a supercell type storm where the hail sizes would be quite a bit bigger on a day like today. But again, there's the Alva area. It's going to be moving on in. Frequent lightning here, locally heavy rain, again, some dime-sized hail. And again, that's going to continue to track there up towards the Oklahoma-Kansas border. Again, this is Woods County in far northwestern Oklahoma. But again, right now, that is our only severe storm in the state. And again, right now, it does continue to at least weaken at this current moment. But again, it's one we'll continue to watch. Let's go back down to the south here. And again, this storm here in the Oakwood area, again, on radar, just not looking super impressive. It is not severe. It's one that Trey's monitoring carefully. And in fact, he just had to drop down to the south. And now I believe he's actually going back to the north on a Highway 58. He's going to be going through the Eagle City area here fairly quickly and back up towards Canton to track this cell. It's got a little bit of lightning with it. It's got intermittent lightning with it. But as far as even a hail core goes, not showing much in the way of hail. A few minutes ago, there was maybe some pea-sized hail possible. But Trey, you've repositioned on it. We're looking at your video carefully here. Give us an update on that cell. Trey, if you're on the live line.
Yep, sorry. I stepped out of my car to get a better view. Yeah, no, it's still looking pretty okay right now for how pitiful it looks on radar, but it's still trying to get its act together. I got this big, wide base right here
Yeah.
that is still pulling in air, trying to get it to go.
Yeah, the structure on, and again, I mean, just as we're looking at it on radar here, Trey, I would agree with you. I mean, it doesn't really look like much here on radar at all. But as we're kind of looking back into this, again, you can actually see the base of the storm right there. And again, even the inflow notch coming in there as well. And this is kind of looking towards the back of it, right back down in there. Not that that's going to lead to anything at all. This storm is not even severe. There's not even a hail core with it. But as this storm maybe continues to try and intensify here a little bit, and especially even though we're seeing a bit of a rain-free base, a lot of times that can lead to some hail. And so we'll see if maybe we start to get some hail with this storm, or kind of what the structure of it is. If this becomes more of a multi-type cell storm where the threat of smaller hail could be there, or again, if this tries to get its act together and potentially tries to become a supercell. So again, we're watching this carefully. But again, Trey, if you can maintain that shot there, that's a really good shot. And we'll kind of see over time here exactly how that storm tries to mature. But again, there's Canton. And again, Trey's right there on Highway 58, and again, he's shooting up. Trey, are you looking, and again, your live GPS right there on Highway 58, are you looking there off to the northwest? Is that where your shot is currently?
Yes, I believe the west-northwest.
Yeah, okay, perfect. So you're looking right in there. And so again, we're just kind of watching this back end appendage. And again, I just want to be really clear, this storm is not even severe. We're barely getting any lightning at all with it. But again, you just got to watch the structure of these storms. And then you can even see the back. See this little inflow notch coming in? And so again, a lot of times this can maybe potentially lead to a hail core. And see, we may be developing a hail core. See where we're just getting a little bit of a smattering of purple right there. And this is happening in real time. Not even a severe storm, just barely even any lightning with it, but we have a little bit of an inflow notch now coming in, and we may be developing a hail core right there, and we've got just a little bit of a rain-free base. So this storm may be becoming, trying to take on at least some supercell structure here, and if it does that, it may offer us an opportunity of some larger hail. So that's going to be important there for parts of Blaine County. But again, we're watching this happen in real time. Trey's got an amazing shot of it. There's actually the inflow coming into the storm. You can almost see the little tail right there. And this is right in here. And I think we're going to try and develop a little hail core. We'll see here over the next 10 to 15 minutes if we're able to develop a hail core there. But I think this storm, Trey, just looking at it visually and what you're seeing there in the field, I think it's trying to strengthen. Let's go back to the hail core tracker. And still nothing there on the hail core tracker, but we're going to watch that carefully and again just see in general if kind of the structure of that storm, if you will, is going to potentially lead to a bit of a hail core here as we go over the next 10 to 15 minutes. So again, that right there is essentially in far eastern Dewey County, tracking towards Blaine County. Again, not even a severe storm currently. And then we've got our severe storm in Woods County we talked about. And then we have this activity. It just appears to be hanging on. It's not doing a whole lot, but it's just kind of hanging on there along Highway 183. And again, that's where we have Peyton. And so Peyton, I mean, we're looking at your video here as well now. And so you're right there. I believe you're just north of Woodward. You may be right there on Highway 34, if I'm correct. We're seeing your live red dot GPS. But give us an update on this storm. It looks like it's kind of cycled up, cycled down. Not really seeing much in the way of lightning with it right now. It's kind of hanging on, but give us an update on that.
Yes, William. So actually, we're still sitting in that same spot when we talked to you earlier, but visually this storm does have a lot better appeal now. It is looking like it's trying to get a little more organized. Just within the 5 or 10 minutes we've been sitting here, we've heard more thunder, seen more lightning. So I know it doesn't look great on radar, but it is strengthening just visually seeing it in the field right now. But back to you, William.
Yeah, no, appreciate that update. And again, great job. Again, you're right there on it. So again, that's one we just, again, it's right now we're kind of going through that wait and see phase where we've got a few storms that have bubbled up, and we're essentially just waiting to see what of these storms, again, roots in, and what of these storms could potentially be severe, again, as we go through the evening. And again, right now, the only one that has become severe, and just it's really honestly marginally severe, it's up there in Woods County. And in fact, I think right now, currently, that one in Woods County is below severe levels. Again, the hail core, and you can see this one here, just continues to weaken. It just kind of became a multi-cell storm. And again, we're seeing the areas of aqua right there. That's maybe some dime-size hail associated with that. So the computer estimating maybe half-inch hail. So that would be just about the size of dimes. And so that's going to be tracking up there towards Highway 64. Officially, that would be below severe levels. But I'm just looking at some new information coming in here. just looking at something else coming in there. But so we'll continue to track that cell again in the Woods County area. Again, officially right now, the only severe storm in the state. Let's go and zoom this out completely. And we'll just kind of take a look at an overview of everything going on. So again, depending on what part of the state you're in, just to kind of give you an update of really what we're seeing, what we're anticipating, and again, what's basically happening out there. So Northwestern Oklahoma, it's all about that as we go through the evening. Again, severe thunderstorm watch there in the counties in blue, and that goes until 10 p.m. this evening. We have this cool front that's up here in that part of the state, and we're warmer. Again, if you're in central Oklahoma, we had rain earlier. Temperatures are in the 60s here. Very stable in central Oklahoma, but it's a different story though up in northwestern parts of the state again, where we have this cool front, and again we now have thunderstorms trying to bubble. And the big question right now is, what of these storms, 3 storms we're currently watching, are going to root in, and which of those storms could be severe as we head a little bit deeper into the evening. They're just kind of in the forming phase, and in their life cycle they're very early, so we're tracking all of that right there carefully. As we go through the rest of the evening, the rain and storms in eastern Oklahoma, those have essentially ended and gone away. And through the evening hours here, again, it's all about northwestern Oklahoma. That's essentially the only rain chance as we go through the evening. So again, if you're in central Oklahoma, if you're in southern Oklahoma, again, go on with your Saturday evening plans, and there's no immediate weather complications there at all. And again, the only risk of severe weather, again, it's up there in northwestern Oklahoma, an elevated risk of severe weather again in that part of the state. So outside of that, there's our watch and warning map. And again, you can see the counties in blue up there in far northern Oklahoma: Ellis, Woodward, Major, Alfalfa, Woods, Harper, and even Beaver County there in the Oklahoma Panhandle. Again, severe thunderstorm watch there in effect until 10 p.m. And there's Woods County. Again, that's our only current severe thunderstorm warning in Oklahoma. But even that storm currently, to me on radar, looks like it's kind of weakening and below severe limits. There's the current activity. There are the storms we're watching. Severe storm in Woods County. Severe, currently a heavy thunderstorm, non-severe, right there in portions of Woodward County, just west of Woodward. And then we're still watching this storm just kind of meandering there by itself in portions of far eastern Dewey County. And again, we've got storm trackers on all of that as well. And we're also watching some stuff currently in the Oklahoma Panhandle. So it's all about northwestern Oklahoma, like we said, as we go through the evening. And again, this is what we're going to be tracking carefully, again, for our friends up in that part of the state. So here's what I want to do. I want to go back to Trey, and I want to take another look at the storm here in eastern Dewey County. And as we do that, again, Trey, on radar, it's just really not looking, too impressive on radar. But again, from your shot that we're looking at here, the storm had developed a base. It had just a little bit of inflow to it. And again, the main thing we're watching with that is the potential there for some hail and for some larger hail. But at least right now on radar, the storm may be looking just a little bit weaker. But again, it's currently coming up there along Highway 58, just south of Canton. But again, there's that base that we were talking about, and sometimes that can be indicative of a strengthening storm and an opportunity for some hail or larger hail. But at least at this point in time, that just simply has not happened with the storm. But go and give us an update. Trey?
Oh, sorry, I couldn't hear you at the moment. Yeah, it's definitely got a great base on it, and actually, I can even see some striation into it. It's probably not very well defined on my video, but as I get out of the car and look, I can see there's a base with a bell shape. It goes up, and there's just a striation, kind of looking like a barber pole. But right now, just on radar, does not look good, but visually, it looks pretty dang good.
Yeah, I mean, the structure on the storm, again, just looking at it from your shot right there, I mean, it's an amazing shot because on radar it looks fairly wimpy, but I can tell you here's one small change in this storm, and this could be a sign that this storm may be trying to strengthen now, is that the lightning is picking up, Trey. And I know that, if you're just watching us and you're saying, well, the lightning's picking up, that sounds pretty basic, but when we're waiting for a storm to mature, sometimes one of the telltale signs that a storm is going from kind of the infancy stage, which this one is in, to maybe a maturing storm is when the lightning begins to increase. And on this one, just over the last 5 minutes, we went from a couple cloud to ground lightning strikes to maybe 5 to 10. So the lightning is picking up on this one here quickly, Trey. And so this storm may try and really increase at least intensity levels here fairly quickly over the next 10 to 15 minutes as well. But that's a very well pronounced base. Again, there's no immediate threat with this storm. It's not even severe, But again, we're just watching the storm to see if it's maybe going to at least continue to mature and maybe the intensity levels continue to increase with it. But what Trey's looking at, this what appears to be now really just a rain-free base there in the back. It's this area right here. It's almost a quasi-hook on the back end of it. Inflow coming in here, quasi-hook on the back. That's what we're looking at. There's the inflow coming in, and there's the hook coming around on the back side of it. Again, this is not even a severe storm yet, but it's one we're going to be watching here. Again, fairly carefully, Trey. Really keep your eyeballs on this storm for sure. Let's go to the hail core tracker. And again, we're still not even picking up on any hail with this storm. So again, it's still trying to go through its life cycle, and we'll see if it does continue to mature. Again, it's up to about 35,000 feet, so we're watching for the vertical development there with the storm as well. But again, we'll continue to track that one carefully, Trey, really as we go through the evening. But again, that's definitely one we got to keep our eyes on. You're doing a great job right there on it. Now, I think this storm is trying to intensify a little bit as well up here around the Woodward area. And again, that's where we have Peyton Epperly, one of our other storm trackers. And Peyton, you've been watching that one. It's kind of cycled up and cycled down a little bit, kind of weakened down as it was crossing over the boundary. But the way it looks right now, even the lightning on this one beginning to increase, not picking up on much in the way of a hail core with it. But Peyton, as this is beginning to approach there, looks like you're sitting right there on a highway 34, just north of Woodward. Give us an update on that storm.
Hey, William, can you hear me?
Yeah, Peyton, we got you. Go ahead.
Okay, yeah. Like I said, it's really starting to get its act together. I mean, it is. You can see a lot of motion in the clouds. Like I said, the thunder and lightning is really one thing that's still starting to pick up. I can tell just visually looking at it. We're going to have to position back a little farther east, though. It's taking more of an easterly course. So we are going to go about a mile and hit a road and go right back just to the east. But definitely, the top basin is starting to get a little lower. It is really starting to take shape. Look a lot better than it did 5-10 minutes ago.
Yeah, I would agree, Peyton. I really would. And like I said, we're seeing the lightning increasing here as well, and still no hail core associated with it. But the storm, there is vertical development. This was only it was right around 32,000 feet. It's right now about 35,000 feet. So there's a little more vertical development with it as well. And again, that's one of the key things that we look at. And so this continues to strengthen here as well. I think there's just, again, from your vantage point, I think this one may be fairly similar to Trey's, that we may even be getting just a little bit of a base on it on the back end, especially down there, back down towards Highway 412. Again, none of these storms are even severe, but again, we're just kind of piecing this together of which storms may root in and which storms we really got to watch. But what are you, Peyton, let's take a look at that. I think that this is almost identical to the, at least life cycle that Trey's storm is going into. Give us an update on this as well. Now, are we looking back down towards the southwest from where you are? Are we looking southwest back down towards 412?
No, William, we actually just went straight north. We're going to try to get a little farther in front of this thing. But man, you hit that mile on the head. It really is starting to get its act together.
Peyton, if I was you,
it's starting to get a little lower.
This is what I would do. If I was you, I would head south. I would head south back down towards 412, and I would get on 412 and go to the east, because I think this is turning just a little bit more to the east. And so I wouldn't go north. I would get to the south on it. I would get back down towards Woodward, and I would just go east. That way we can just kind of track this, again, as it continues to kind of track off to the east there. But the general motion with this, it is still back.
William, can you see my shot now?
Yeah. Well, I think maybe you may be about to turn into it. Let me see. Give me one second.
Yes, we just turned back south.
Okay.
That is a look that we're looking at right up here.
Okay. Yeah, your video is just about 30 seconds delayed. But yeah, so that's what we're looking at. And so that's, again, it's a rain-free brace, same thing that Trey has. And I kind of figured that we would see something like that associated with that. So, I mean, this is dynamic video coming in. There's no immediate threat with this, but there is some spinning and some twisting within these storms. And even though we only have a severe thunderstorm watch today, the tornado threat is not zero. Not that this is anywhere near tornadic levels. A lot of times storms can begin to spin or develop mesocyclones, and again, it'll go on to produce some large hail. This is really dynamic video, though. And so, so we're going to continue to watch this. But yeah, I would definitely track back down towards Woodward, and then just kind of stay on 412 as we track that Independence, because that one has come up in intensity fairly quickly, Peyton, literally since we've been talking here over the last 5 minutes. And there's even a hail core now developing. So this one is taking hold. There's a hail core developing, And, on the back side of it, we definitely have to keep our eyes on it. That one could try and come up to severe levels, again, fairly quickly. But again, dynamic video. Take a look at these from both of our storm trackers here. Look at the dynamic video on both of those storms. There's Peyton Epperly's video, rain-free base, dynamic there. And then on our other storm down around Canton, we're going to get an update from Trey on, again, another rain-free base. Neither of these storms are even severe yet. They're not at severe levels. We don't even know if they're going to go to severe levels because they're so early in their life cycle. But again, these storms could intensify here fairly quickly, and especially this one around Woodward. I would definitely get to the south as quickly as possible. But again, that's dynamic video coming in there, Peyton, and we're going to keep our eye on that one for sure. It continues to intensify. That one around Woodward may try and go severe. So we got to watch it. Let's go and get another update from Trey. We're going to keep the video there double boxed. So we're switching from the storm up by Woodward. That's really intensifying rapidly now. Still below severe levels, but it's coming up quick. It's that storm. And then let's go back down here around really the far eastern portions of Dewey County. And Trey, tell us exactly where you are. I think you're on Highway 54 down there. And give us an update on this storm here.
Yeah, right now I'm on Highway 58. South of Canton, just kind of northwest of Watonga, looking back towards Oakwood. And on radar, this storm has actually kind of started producing a little bit of a hook to it, and it's starting to look better on radar, but it still looks really good in the field. Just visually, it doesn't look all that impressive. It isn't severe yet, but it's working on it. It's trying.
Yeah, we're getting a hail core now right around the Oakwood area, and that's right back there in that rain-free base. And so we got to watch this one here carefully as well. And there's actually some broad, and we're just going to say this loosely, some broad spin. Again, this is a storm that's not even severe, but we're getting some indications here of some broad spin with this. And again, we'll see if that helps to this storm maybe mature. Again, it's still fairly evening now, late afternoon, early evening. But again, this is the inflow notch coming in right back up in here. And so there is a developing hail core, and this may try and go to 1 inch hail. This storm may try and go severe. We'll check that, but this may be now approaching severe levels. There's Canton right back up in here. This is Highway 58. So again, this storm may be trying to go severe now. And so again, Trey's right there on it. And again, he's eyeballing it. But let me go take a look here. So we're getting a marker for basically 1 inch hail. That would be quarter size hail. That's going to be just north of Oakwood. So we'll see, Weather Service is going to go and issue a severe thunderstorm warning on that. So that one is now severe, Trey. So let's definitely keep our eyes. There's the warning. You just saw it pop up there. And so again, that's a brand new severe thunderstorm warning. And again, that's going to be for portions of far eastern Dewey and far northern portions of Blaine County. And again, that's going to be for some quarter size hail. So let's zoom this out a little bit. And let's go and take a different perspective. And that's also going to include portions of far northern Major County as well. And so the general motion there is going to be off to the northeast. But again, that's an intensifying storm that I think we've really got to keep our eyes on. I'm going to plot temperatures on here quickly as well. And temperatures, again, here in the Oklahoma City metro, they're still, fairly cool. But this storm, it's going to be bumping up against some lower 70s as it gets closer to Kingfisher County. So the atmosphere in that part of the state, again, just not quite as prime as where it is now. Right now it's currently in some mid 70s, but it's going to be pushing into some lower 70s. But again, regardless, it's something we got to watch. But again, you can see this storm, it's definitely got some curvature to it, and it is now severe. And we'll see if that hail core, look at that, continues to mature. I think we're up to about $0.50. So this one continues to mature, Trey. Definitely let's keep our eyes on it. I want to go back up here to the north. And Peyton, your storm here definitely has curvature to it as well. It's a small cell. It's got a very small hail core with it. It's maybe only pea-size hail. Vertical development continues to be there. Again, it's about 35,000 feet. You're looking right at it. And again, you're essentially sitting right under a rain-free base, again, as we're looking at your video here. But give us an update on this storm. Again, this is coming into the Woodward area. It does continue to intensify. It is not at severe levels. It was trying to develop a bit of a hail core. The latest couple sweeps, the hail core has gone down. But again, this is a storm right here. It's got some curvature to it. It's sitting right on top of the boundary now. And Peyton, you're essentially driving through, I would take it probably Woodward there. And again, you're driving right under, check it out, right under that rain-free base. But give us an update on this storm.
Hey, William, I'm sitting here about to turn to my east on 412, and it is hailing on me. I am probably getting pea-sized hail. I don't know if you can see it a little bit on the dash, but I am definitely getting some hail We're going to try to get out in front of this thing over to Moreland and turn around and give you a better shot, but we are right underneath this thing, and it is hailing on us. Not raining, just hailing.
Yeah, no,
Probably picking up pea-sized hail, maybe.
Yeah, that's about
maybe
what we're
marble.
seeing here on radar. Yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, Payne. Yeah, go ahead. Sorry about that.
No, completely. It's okay, William. Like I said, we're just right underneath this thing. The shot isn't very good. What you're looking at in my shot now is the storm farther to my north and east over there by Alva. We are just underneath it, and it's hailing in town in Woodward. I would say probably pea-sized hail. We just drove out of it, so it wasn't very big. But like I said, we're going to get a little farther east. We're going to turn around and give you a better shot, and it's going to come right for us, just maybe a little bit to the north of Moreland.
Okay, appreciate that update. Doing a great job, Peyton. And again, I mean, Peyton's essentially right there under what we would call a rain-free base. So there's some curvature to the storm. Nothing too concerning right now. It's, again, below severe levels, but it's coming into Woodward. And again, as Peyton was saying there, again, there is at least some pea-sized hail showing up. That's essentially what we're seeing on radar as well. And again, this storm may continue to intensify. It's just all of these storms are so early in their life cycle, it's really hard to judge yet which storms will really root in. I want to get back down to Trey, but I also want to take a look at this cell up here around the Alva area. This is also a severe storm here, and this is kind of cycled up and cycled down. The overall hail core, again, still maybe marginally severe, with possibly some quarters mixed in. That quarter-size hail would be coming there into the Alva area and crossing right through Highway 64. So again, marginally severe storm there, 60-mile-per-hour winds, some quarter-size hail. That's going to be coming through the Alva area, basically right there at the Highway 64 and 281 junction. And again, that's going to be up there in Woods County. So we're tracking that storm as here carefully as well. And right now we currently have two severe storms in the state, one there in the Woods County area. We've got a heavy storm with pea-sized hail moving through the Woodward area. We're tracking carefully with Peyton. And then we also have this cell down here in eastern Dewey County and pushing there into portions of northern Blaine County. And we're tracking this one carefully with Trey Smith. And Trey, there continues to be vertical development on that storm. And I believe you continue to track north on Highway 58. We may have briefly lost your video. We'll try and check that. There, it popped back in. There we go. Perfect. So Trey, tell us again where you are exactly. I believe you are closer to Canton now. And give us an update on that storm.
Yeah, I just passed through Eagle City. I'm going to get north, go through Canton, and get back east to, I don't know exactly what highway is just east of there. That looks like it runs out of Watonga. So I'm going to get back, try and keep east of this so I can keep a good view on it for you.
Yeah.
Back to you.
Okay, appreciate that update, Trey. And yeah, doing a great job. And so as soon as you kind of get a little further north, we'll take a better look at that. That storm, it's very similar to what happened with that storm up around Alva. It looks like it's kind of elongating. The hail core's coming up in it, though. Again, I can tell you that right now. The hail core is actually only getting larger. But it looks like it's elongating a little bit, maybe trying to turn a little more multicellular. But again, where you're seeing the aquas and some of the yellow showing up right there, that's maybe now getting up to the size of $50. So again, in general, that's going to be tracking up there towards the Highway 58 corridor. So again, heads up on that, eventually even towards the Canton area. And eventually, again, if it kind of holds together, Southern and even Longdale. So again, that's going to be portions of northern Blaine County. But this storm at least continues to intensify, Trey. And we're watching it carefully here. And again, at least $50. And again, the latest sweep here on radar, you can even see some of the black now showing up on reflectivity. So again, this storm just, I mean, literally within the last 5 minutes, it went severe maybe 10 minutes ago. It was just kind of marginally severe, but we've really got a hail core building in here fairly quickly. And again, Trey, it's just to Trey's north. We may have temporarily lost his video. He's just there in a really rural area. But that storm is intensifying fairly quickly. Let's go back here. And again, take a look at the hail core tracker. And so again, I think there's definitely an opportunity for some $50 size hail. And that $50 size hail, it's going to be tracking right up towards the Canton area. So again, you folks there in Canton, again, big heads up on that. And we may still be on the back end, Trey, needing to watch because we do have a little bit of an inflow notch developing there on the back side. And so Trey, as soon as you can, you may check your video. As soon as we can get your video punched back up, I want to go and take a look at it. This storm officially not even in the severe thunderstorm watch, but again, it is intensifying quickly, and we do have just a bit of an inflow notch on the back end of it, and there's some broad rotation. And again, Trey did have a rain-free base with this storm really over the last 30 minutes or so. It's something that we were watching carefully, but again, there is just some very, and I say very, very broad, it's nothing concerning, but I think it's one of the reasons why the hail core is coming up, It's almost hard to see because it's only a couple pixels there, but one of the reasons why the hail core is coming up so quickly is we're getting just some broad spin on the backside of the storm, and it's kicking up the hail sizes a little bit. So again, we're up to $50 now. Trey's right there looking at it. And again, we'll check your video. Trey, do you know, is your video from where you are? Do you have signal for your video? And we may just check it from here, because I'd like to get another look at this storm as it continues to intensify. But again, regardless, okay, I'll check it from here then. But again, regardless, it's definitely a bona fide hailstorm. This storm where Peyton is coming through the Woodward area, we're also getting a developing hail core on it now as well. And so there could be some dime-size hail. Now, Peyton did have pea-size hail in the town of Woodward, and again, that was maybe 10 minutes ago. But Peyton, this storm appears to be strengthening as well. And again, right now, there's at least an opportunity just north of Woodward. This is still a very small, compact cell, but it looks like there's an opportunity now for maybe some dime-size hail. Peyton, I know you're repositioning. I think you're tracking east now on Highway 412 back towards Moreland. But give us an update on this cell, and again, what are you seeing there on it? Okay, really appreciate that update. And again, good job, Peyton, out there. Again, doing a great job. Trey Smith also doing a great job on these storms here as well. So let me go and kind of widen out the view. This is what's going on. Right now, we're currently tracking 2 severe storms in Oklahoma, one in Blaine County primarily now, tracking up towards Canton. We also have one up around the Alva area. We're tracking both of those carefully. Then we're also tracking a storm, non-severe, but fairly heavy, moving through the Woodward area. This is what I want to do. Let's see. Also, a report here of possibly a brief funnel down there on Trey's storm. Trey, I want to go back to you. We're having a little bit of trouble with your video, but let's go and take another look at this one here. And so I'm going to check your video coming in here momentarily, but if you're still on the live line with us, there is at least some spin on the back end of this storm. Again, right now, nothing too concerning, but we're getting just a couple pixels there on the back end of it. And you did have the rain-free base earlier. Go and give us another update on that cell.
Yeah, William, right now I'm actually driving into the hail core, going up to Canton. I'm going to try and get, like I said, go east out of Canton to get ahead of this storm so I can get some better picture for you. It's probably because I don't have very good cell phone service where I'm at for the video.
Your video?
It looks like we're getting some $50 size hail.
Okay, we can hear it. Yeah, we can actually hear that in the background. But yeah, and that's exactly, I think, what we were seeing there on the hail core tracker as well, is that your hail sizes, they appear to be coming up again fairly quickly. So again, we're going to keep checking your video. We'll try and get it in here. And again, as soon as your video pops in, again, we'll get right back over to it. But again, we're just looking at your shot, waiting for it to come in. So as soon as it does, like I said, we'll get back to it. We'll just kind of leave all that right there double boxed. So we're going to continue to track this storm. And again, right now, the biggest threat with it as it's moving through Canton and tracking back over through Southern, it's again that this is a hail storm. And again, the opportunity here, just like what Trey's saying, for some $50 size hail is definitely there. And the only other thing I really want us to keep our eye on, and Trey, as soon as your video comes in, we'll be able to get another shot of it. Right now, Trey, just kind of in a rural area, we're not able to get the video, but we've still just got this broad area spin, and that's what's enhancing this hail core, but that's going to be crossing there over Highway 58. But we've still got this broad area spin on the back end. Nothing concerning right now, but sometimes when you get broad areas of spin, it will help to kind of enhance the hail core. And again, I think that's what we're seeing there out of Trey's storm, because again, just over the last 15 minutes, it went from marginally severe to, again, the hail core getting just a little bit bigger and a little bit bigger. And so we're going to continue to track that. Still looking just a little more multicellular though, Trey. So again, we'll track it. But there's the hail core. And again, we're seeing the yellows going to oranges. Again, that's indicative of at least some $50 size hail. And again, that's what Trey was reporting there as well, just north of the Eagle City, closer to the Canton area rather. So let's go back up to the north. And Trey, as you can, work on your video. As soon as you can get that back up, let's go and get it kicked back in. Let's look here at this Woodward storm. Again, this storm is still non-severe, and we're looking at Peyton's video. Peyton, I believe you were able to get turned around there. You were on 412 going east to get ahead of the storm. I think you've gotten turned around now, and we're still getting at least some indications here of some dime-size hail. You had some pea-size hail in the Woodward area. This was maybe 20 minutes ago now. But give us another update on this storm there across portions of northern Woodward County.
Yes, William. Okay, so we have not gotten turned around yet. What you're looking at here is still storms. What you're looking at here is still storms up by Alva. Basically, though, this thing is starting to get wrapped up. It's starting to kind of get its act together. We're out of the rain, though. Like I said, it's definitely been low precip the entire time. The heavier precipitation is more to my north, which is just north of Moreland. But I'm going to try to get up here to Moreland and get turned around. Just trying to get you a better shot than you right now.
Okay. Yeah, no, appreciate that. And like I said, you're doing a great job. So we're looking at it, and now we're kind of looking back at it there from a distance. So we're going to continue to track that one as well. But again, right now, at least the immediate threat with this storm, it is going to be at least some dime-size hail, and that's going to be tracking just near and north of the Moreland area. So basically right there from Highway 412, again, back up there to the north. I want to go over to this other storm that is severe up here around the Alva area. And we're getting some reports coming in from the Alva area, some pea-size hail. And again, this was a storm that it was warned for quarters earlier. And as soon as it was warned for some quarter-size hail, the storm began to kind of at least decrease in intensity. And it appears as though the storm continues to weaken there around the Alva area. But again, we're getting reports of pea-size hail. There could, just based off of radar, still be some dimes possible, but that's going to be tracking there up towards Highway 281. Essentially now the hail core north of Highway 64. Could be some 50 to 60 mile per hour winds mixed in there, and that's going to be tracking up there towards Capron, and then eventually, if the storm does hold together, up towards the Oklahoma-Kansas border. But that one right now, the way it looks from here, fairly marginally severe. But again, keep in mind, dime-size hail could be, again, still quite possible with that storm. Coming a little bit further down to the south, we're just going to kind of keep rotating storms here. And it looks like this storm in Blaine County is kind of going through a cycling phase where it's trying to maybe cycle down just a notch from where it was, as far as where the hail core was. Trey Smith, we're still waiting to get your video back up. As soon as it kicks in, we'll take it. But Trey, you're still looking at this storm. And again, maybe 5 minutes ago, we had a hail core that was maybe going up to $half, maybe a little bit bigger. But it appears, though, as, again, just over maybe the last 3 or 4 minutes, as we've gotten a new sweep in here, that the hail core is coming down some. It's not looking quite as impressive. Still some quarter-size hail, though, quite possible up here around the Canton area. And again, that's going to be continuing to track there in the portions of far northern Blaine County. But Trey, as you're eyeballing this, again, as it tracks through the Canton area, eventually towards southern, maybe as far north as the Longdale area, again, northern Blaine County. Again, quarter to $half size hail possible with that. Give us another update on what you're seeing. Also, let us know if your video is back up, and we'll also be able to go and take that.
Okay, on the video, do you want me to stop and start it?
Yeah, if you can. Just stop and start it, and then we'll get it back in here.
Okay. And right now, as far as I'm driving east out of Canton right now, and I'm still getting some hail. I would say about quarter to $half. Maybe every now and then a hailstone that's bigger, just a little bit bigger than $half. But right now, it's still just trying to cycle. And we're seeing one moment, see if I can get my screen coming back.
Okay. And it's
kind of rural in here.
Yeah, no, I know. Now, are you closer to Canton now, Trey, or tell us exactly where you are now?
I am east of Canton on 51, I believe.
Okay, so you're tracking back over through the southern area, is that correct? Yeah, that's where it looks like. Okay, so you're tracking back over towards southern. Okay, so let's still keep our eye, though, on the southern fringes of this, because I can tell you, even though the storm is not looking as impressive on radar right now, we're getting just, this is not a real organized area of spin, but on the back end here, we continue to get a very, at least it's pronounced, but it's just not very well organized area of spin. And again, this storm a little more disorganized than it was, even the whole structure of the storm, than it was maybe 10 minutes ago. But on the back end of it, where the reds and greens, this is what we call a developing couplet here. It may not go much further than where it is now, but that's what at least at one point did help to increase the hail size. But on the back end of it, and we did have a report of a funnel, this was earlier, this was maybe about 15 minutes ago, and by no means is this at tornadic levels, is it approaching tornadic levels, nothing like that. but even Trey had a fairly well-pronounced rain-free base earlier as well. So Trey, you may let that back in, lift up there towards you so we can get another look at that. But again, we're going to watch that carefully. You know, it looks like we really got to watch that carefully again as that begins to approach Highway 58, Trey. Okay, so as soon as you get your video up, we'll take it and we'll take another look at it. Let's go back up to the storm here to the north. And as we do that, back up here towards Woodward. And again, that's where Peyton Epperly is. And Peyton, we're actually looking at your video. I know you were going to try and get turned around there around the Moreland area. And right now this storm, it's holding on. It is intensifying from where it was, but right now we're still just sticking with some P to dime size hail, nothing quite at severe levels right now, but this storm just continues to kind of float down Highway 412, and looks like we may be coming out with a warning on this storm. So the Weather Service, they're going to go and issue a warning on this, and it's coming out right now. So Peyton, tell us where you are exactly. Give us an update. If you can, also hit your GPS just so we can get an updated GPS there. And there's the new warning coming out. That does include Moreland, Quinlan, and Belva and Waynoka. But tell us exactly where you are now. By the way, that warning is out until 6:45. But Peyton, give us an update.
Okay, so we are about 3 or 4 miles north of Moreland. We're looking back at it. I got you turned back around, but like I said, the service up here isn't the greatest. We're working on that right now. But we can definitely see it is strengthening. The lightning, like I said, it's gotten a lot more apparent here the last couple of minutes. We are back actually on the cool side now. So like I said, this thing is really rising the cool, warm line like you touched on earlier. But the motion in the clouds is good, man. Like I said, we got the spin here. I think it's just in its younger stage. It's just really trying to get everything pulled together right now. But it is isolated away from that line, probably 30 or 40 miles away from that Alva storm. So it does have the space to do what it takes. We're just kind of watching it right now.
Just kick back in there, and so we've got both of the videos again. We're just kind of working in really rural areas today, so from time to time the video will be in and out, but we've got Trey's video in. But I wanted to show this again as well. This is Peyton's video coming in, and this is now more north of the Moreland area, not necessarily Woodward. But again, this is a brand new severe thunderstorm warning on this storm. But check out this rain-free. This is a super compact, and you can even see how small, just geographically speaking, this storm is. This is a compact little storm, but we've got this little bitty rain-free base associated with it, just a compact little rain-free base. But again, you can see just vertically how well it's built there. But again, we're going to continue to watch that one, Peyton. Up to quarter-size hail now could be possible with that storm. It does continue to strengthen, and as we're kind of getting now deeper into the late afternoon, now early evening, we're going to see these storms continue to intensify the way it looks. And Peyton, even the lightning on that one continues to pick up as well. But again, that's a strengthening storm there just north of Moreland. And again, just like we saw there when it was over around the Woodward area, again, it's just got that little compact rain-free base. That again we got to continue to watch. So again, you know, the overall tornado threat, we have a severe thunderstorm watch in effect, but the overall tornado threat is not zero. And again, as these storms continue to mature and strengthen, again, these are just the finite little details that we got to watch with our storm trackers, and that we also have to watch here on radar as well. But again, that storm does continue to strengthen, Peyton. And again, like I said, there is an opportunity for some quarter-size hail, and for the most part, that's going to be just north of the Moreland area. The Weather Service did also go ahead and reissue the warning up here around the Alva area for potentially some quarter-size hail. The hail core, it's going to be just northeast there now of Alva, and again, dimes to quarters could be possible again with that, and that's going to be crossing there the Salt Fork River, and that's going to be just north of Alva, and that's going to be tracking towards Capron and Burlington, over in portions of Alfalfa County and eventually even Byron, again, if it does hold together. But again, the hail core just north now of Highway 64 and right along Highway 281, and again, basically crossing the Salt Fork River up there. And like I said, eventually that's going to be tracking over into portions of Alfalfa County. So we're tracking that, again, carefully as well for our friends up in northern Oklahoma. I want to come back down to the south here. And Trey, this storm, you know, it's cycled up and cycled down, but it looks like it continues to intensify here. And so we've really got to keep our eyes on this one. I know I've said that over and over, but we still have this broad area spin on the back end of it. And Trey, I know you're repositioning. I'm seeing on your GPS, it looks like you're dropping back down on Highway 51 south out of Southard. But we've got this broad area of spin still on the back end of this storm. And again, the hail cores, it's holding steady with this one. So we're seeing the aquas and the yellow showing up. Again, we're talking about Blaine County here. Again, there's still an opportunity for some half-dollar size hail, and I believe you said you even drove through some half-dollar size hail, but this storm may be trying to finally kind of root in and maybe ramp up just one more level. And so again, northern Blaine County here, half-dollar size hail possible. There's Trey. Again, he basically came over to southern. He's now tracking south on Highway 51, live GPS, and there is his video. The road's a little bumpy, so that's why his camera's kind of jiggling around a little bit. But Trey, you're south out of southern now in Blaine County. Give us an update on that storm.
Yeah, William, I got a very broad rain-free base right here. You can really see it rotating and putting a little spin into it, and that's what's increasing that hail size. But as I got right there in my camera shot, you can really see this big tower. Looks like a barber pole going up right now. Got a little bit of a spot down here on the bottom, just above the tree line. It looks like it might be where there's the most intense rotation or area of where it's inhaling the best at.
Yeah, let's go take a look at that, and we'll kind of take a look at that a little bit closer. But yeah, that's that rain-free base. And again, this storm has continued to kind of display that rain-free base. We saw it earlier when it was really almost nothing more than a shower, but there's the rain-free base we're talking about right there, and there's actually the inflow coming into the storm. And so again, this storm, you know, right now it's at severe levels, some half-dollar size hail possible, but it just had this broad area spin, and we're seeing it on radar, and we're also seeing it there live in the field as well. And you know, Trey, you know what? Let me go and tell you this, and let's go and put this back with radar. The curvature on this storm is trying to take a little bit more of a classic supercell shape. And so this storm's coming up quickly. This is turning in now to more of a classic supercell here, and we're going to have this developing hook there on the back end of it. You can just see the curvature even associated with this storm. See how all the rain and hail is basically being curved back in to this broad area of spin. Now that can just mean some larger hail, and that's what we got to watch for here. But again, for the folks there on Highway 51, even around the southern area, again, we've got to really track this one carefully. But again, you can see the hail core in the pink and even the black right there. Again, up to $half is quite possible. But again, this storm now is trying to take on some supercell structure. And again, that doesn't ever mean it's going to lead to any type of tornadic activity. We want to be clear about that. But again, you get a supercell, you get some decent rotation, and again, the hail sizes can jump up fairly quickly. And so this could be a hail threat now coming up there into the southern area. But again, the area of spin that we're talking about on the backside, kind of the developing mesocyclone, you can also see it right there in Trey's shot. And this storm has continued to display that rain-free base, and again, kind of that broad area spin there on the back end. Let's go and take this a little bit further. Let me go and take a look at some velocities. And it's raggedy, Trey. It's real raggedy on the back end, and it's not very well organized. Even from 5 minutes ago, it was actually a little more organized. But again, you can actually see kind of this area spin on the back side. See how the reds and greens are kind of twisting there on the back end, kind of on that back end appendage there of that hook. And so again, that's what we're seeing right back in here. So as the area spin continues to increase, it's maximizing the hail sizes up in here. But this is turning into a fairly dynamic storm. And again, it's one we really want to pay attention to going forward. But again, Trey, you're right there. You're in great position. Let me go and take a look at this here. And so our spin rate, again, not that this is impressive at all, but we're at least getting a smattering here of red. And so that's at least the computer telling us, saying, hey, let's start watching this storm a little bit. Once we get to greens and yellows, that's when it becomes a little more concerning. But at least the computer's kind of indicating here, hey, let's keep some eyeballs. There's a little bit of spin back here on the back side. So that's all that's indicating right now. But again, there's Trey's live GPS on Highway 51. There's Southern right there. And so again, we have now a developing mesocyclone there. You can see it there on the back end of it, Trey's live video. And again, the opportunity there, an opportunity of at least some increasing hail sizes. We're going to get back up to the North Peyton here momentarily. We're going to take a look at Peyton's shot. But again, as we take a look at Trey's hail core tracker here, and again, you can still see that opportunity again for some $half size hail, especially in the aquas and the yellows. So that is a healthy storm there, Trey, just to your north. But again, you're in great position. If you can maintain that shot for as long as possible, again, that way we kind of have eyes on the backside of that mesocyclone. Let's go back up here to the north, and I'm just going to zoom the radar out so that way we can kind of clearly show where we're talking about. So we're leaving Trey's storm there in northern Blaine County, and we're going to come back here into portions of Woodward County, and this is where Peyton is. And again, this storm continues to mature as well, Peyton. It's getting a little bit bigger, and the hail core there, again, still maintaining right around quarter size hail, so we're only talking about a marginally severe storm. And even as we take a look at the flow within the storm, taking a look at some velocities here, I'll kind of move this around with height. Right now, nothing too indicative of a developing mesocyclone, but just the structure of the storm, even kind of that back end appendage as it continues to kind of mature and strengthen. It's just one of those things we have to keep our eyes on. But Peyton Epperly, you're right there looking at this storm, and I believe you're still right there on Highway 412, just to the north out of Moreland. There's his red GPS dot right there. Peyton, go and give us another update on this storm here for Woodward County.
Yes, William. Okay, so we're just in the hail pool right now. I know you don't have my shot just now. A lot of hail. Bigger hail the weather to Woodward. No, it's strengthening. I could probably say $half size hail, but it's a lot more hail than what we're used to Woodward. It's back on to 12 now, but just by visually looking at it, you can see it's starting to get that look to it. So that classic look, just visually. A lot of rotation in the cloud right now. It's still pretty high base, but I am getting some rotation definitely in the clouds. So there is some shit here, and like I said, the hail definitely got bigger. There was more than this time. So I'm gonna keep working with it, but I should have a shot for you in about 3-4 minutes.
Okay, sounds good. Yeah, I think your video literally just kicked back in, so it's moving. I know it was kind of frozen there for just a second, but it looks like Peyton's tracking back down towards 412. And again, like you mentioned, he'll have a better shot coming up here just momentarily. So we'll stick around for that. I want to also, let's go back down here to the south. Let's talk about this Alva storm real quick here. This storm here, so it continues to be severe. And again, the hail core just not looking that impressive. The Weather Service, they did go and extend it. And that hail core right there moving over the Salt Plains, the Salt Fork River, right there in portions of Alfalfa, Woods County rather, moving over into portions of Alfalfa County. And in general, that storm is going to be tracking over towards Burlington and Byron. So again, you folks in those hometowns, heads up, there could be some quarter-size hail moving in your direction. There's a lot of vivid lightning. I think the main threat with that cell, it is the vivid lightning. Again, right now, it just kind of continues to weaken. It's kind of hanging on, so to speak. But the hail core is just, again, even as you look at the hail core tracker there, it's just not looking that impressive. So, in fact, it's just with the last sweep, even got smaller. So, it's one we'll continue to track. Severe thunderstorm warning continues there. But again, just not looking quite as impressive as it was. This cell here, just east of Winoka, this one's come up fairly quickly. And there is a hail core officially from the Weather Service. This one isn't severe. I would anticipate they do issue a warning on it fairly quickly. Just east of Winoka, that's going to be out there on Highway 281. And so again, hail core tracker there, you're seeing the yellows and some of the oranges showing up. That would be indicative of some $half size hail. So that would make that storm severe. It's right now kind of in the middle of no hometowns, but it's going to track right down Highway 281 and right there to that Highway 281 North junction there in portions of Woods County. So again, friends, family, farmers, ranchers in that area. It's again not necessarily in a hometown, but again, heads up, that is a hailstorm, again, tracking in your general direction. I want to come back down here to this one, and this is just turning into a fairly classic looking supercell. It's marginal in the fact that the hail sizes continue to only be $half to right around quarter size, but on the back end of it, Trey, we need to take another look at this. What are you seeing on the back end of it? Because I tell you, the area of spin, just from our spin rate, that's going to be crossing Highway 58 fairly soon. Trey is just east of there on Highway 51 looking due west at it. But Trey, even though the hail sizes have come down some, the area of spin has come up just slightly. So go ahead from your vantage point and give us an update on this storm. Again, it's going to be tracking over towards Carlton and eventually the southern area. In fact, right now in southern, there's an opportunity of some $half size hail. But Trey, give us an update on that storm.
Yeah, the storm is really cycling. It's got this very big, broad base that at times will become well-defined and at times it won't. As you can see in my shot, you can really see where the right side of that updraft is, and it's still rotating and it's still strengthening. But I tell you what, the rain-free base is just so far away from all the precip. It's just this classic supercell. I'm currently sitting with the rain-free base still to my south, and this rain and hail is just way off to the north, and I mean, it's still just this classic barber pole shape producing this area of spin that is just increasing the hail size, I guess, as it's going. Because it looks like on the couple of radar scans I just got in that it looks like it's increasing the hail again.
Yeah.
As it's cycling up.
Yeah, the hail sizes are coming up. I want to go and I want to double box this here so we can look at your shot along with some radar imagery here as well. And as we're doing that, the back end of it, again, the area of spin, it's very disorganized. This is not a well-organized area of spin, but it is on the back end of it, Trey. It does continue to increase. And again, this is something I still think we need to watch carefully on the back end. So, I mean, you're obviously seeing, the bell-shaped mesocyclone here. That's the rain-free base right there that we're talking about. You can almost see some of the striations associated with that. But on the back end, it's just this broad, super broad area of spin here on the back end. But again, it's like Trey said, it's helping to maximize the hail sizes. But when you're talking about mid to late May in Oklahoma, and even if you have a broad area of spin, you got to watch it carefully because from time to time they'll try and tighten up fairly quickly on you. In fact, the hail sizes are even coming up. This is our spin rate product now. And on the back end of it, still that same area we were talking about, this is still the computer saying. Remember earlier we just kind of had the reds, and that was the computer saying, hey, let's watch this, keep some eyeballs on it, something could be going on. We're now getting a little bit of green here as well. Again, if anything were to change, I mean, Trey's looking at it right here. You can see there's no really even well-defined wall cloud or lowering associated with that. A little bit of scud cloud activity now associated with it. But again, and you just see how big this is. Kind of that smattering of green. It's not real tight or anything like that. So it's just this real broad rotation. And again, that's what we're seeing there. But again, where I'm going with this is, as we all know in Oklahoma, especially late May in Oklahoma, you have to watch for sudden changes. And again, Trey couldn't be in any better position than he is right now, again, to watch that broad mesocyclone. And it continues to strengthen, Trey. We're getting a marker here of some strengthening rotation. And again, we're still looking at your shot here. And again, just for me looking at it here in the studio through a TV, I'm not seeing anything threatening as far as a lowering or even much of a well-defined wall cloud. But Trey, from your vantage point, what are you seeing? Trey, are you still on the live line?
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, I'm just really seeing this broad area of spin. I mean, it's just right there in the camera shot. It's just the whole area spinning. I don't see a really well-defined low-level spin on it. Just the whole storm is just spinning, not necessarily just one little spot, like where it would have a wall cloud yet.
Right, yeah, and that's what we're seeing. But on the radar here, we're getting a fairly strong indication of this thing trying to tighten up just a little bit. Now, again, I'm looking at this from a distance here, Trey, and again, we're trying to look at it through a TV screen here as well. But right there in the center of that rain-free base there, are we getting any kind of rapid motion? Again, I kind of see like what appears to be maybe like some scud cloud activity. I mean, just right there in the center. If you're looking at it just off to your camera left, right there. But it looks like there's some scud cloud rising motion associated with that. I just want to watch that. I mean, you're going to have to let me know because you're there. Is that just scud cloud, or are we maybe getting just a little bit of rising motion? I'm still seeing some type of condensate associated right there in the middle of that rain-free base, Trey, and we're seeing it happening there in real time. What are you seeing there?
William, every now and then it'll have an area of some scud, it'll develop some scud below, but it'll just rise, bring that in, and I don't think it's trying to like produce a wall cloud yet. Like if it continues to strengthen, it may, but right now it's just really trying to organize and inhale some more warm air or warmer air than what it has to increase that hail size and get that up, because I'm looking at it on velocity too, and I see a little bit of an area, but I don't see anything that's really that concerning just yet.
We need to keep our eyes.
There's no defined wall cloud.
Yeah, we need to keep our eyes there still in the back end, and like I said, it's just right now this is scud cloud, and that may be Peyton up there. Let's go to Peyton. We're going to quickly switch storms here, and I want to go up to Peyton. We want to keep our eyes on this one there in the Canton area, but let's go up here to Peyton. Peyton's also watching this severe storm, and again, he's going to be just east of Moorwood now, and we'll go and get the triple box back up. But Peyton, we're looking at your video. It's coming in now as well, and go ahead and give us an update from portions of Woodward County up there around the Quinlan now area.
Hey, William, we are just east of Moreland, and what you're seeing is what's beginning to become a wall cloud right here. From what I can tell, you're getting my stream pretty well, but now we are watching this thing. It's really starting to tighten up and get its act together. I don't know if you can tell just there, but we have had some rising scud. We do have some motion up here. So, I mean, it's really trying to get its act together. I personally think it's going to recycle just one more time, but then I think it'll be ready to ready to get serious.
Well, we've got it, and so we've got your video coming in here, and so I think I take it that your video is moving. Now, we're not necessarily seeing what you're talking about, and it may be that your video is frozen. Are you on Highway 412 right now?
Yes, William, I'm on Highway 412 facing to the east.
Okay, we may check your video, and we'll see if it kicks back in. I think your video may be frozen because what we're looking at, I don't necessarily think is what you're talking about right now. So again, as you're kind of getting repositioned there, we're going to check your video and we're going to keep eyes on it. But let's go and take a look inside this storm. And again, we still have that hail core just right there north of Quinlan. Now, it's not a super pronounced hail core. And you may also check your GPS, Peyton, too, if you can. It's not a well-pronounced hail core just north of Quinlan, but at least an opportunity of some quarter-size hail is there. And that in general is going to be tracking over towards the Belva area and then eventually Highway 281 and the Winoka area. So you folks there in Winoka, heads up. But again, Peyton's got eyes on it. We're going to check his video. I just don't think his video is moving there. I think it maybe froze for a second. And so we'll track that. And then we've also got this cell. This is also rapidly intensifying here around the Hopeton area, back down towards Highway 281. And so this is going to be a hailstorm here. And man, oh man, you see the hail cores with this. So easily $50 from Hopeton all the way back down to Highway 281. And that's going to be approaching Tacoma and Lambert and even Carmen. All of those hometowns here over the next 30 minutes or so. If it holds together, it's going to be tracking back over towards the Highway 64 junction back towards Cherokee. And so again, this is going to be in portions of Woods County pushing into Alfalfa County. So big hailstorm here. It's right over Highway 281. It's going to be tracking up towards Hopeton and Tacoma again over the next 15 to 20 minutes. So you folks there, heads up, big hailstorm now heading in your direction. Let's go a little bit further to the north here. And again, this storm,
Hey, William?
it's barely hanging on. Yeah, Trey, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm starting to get into a little bit of hail right now. I haven't moved. It's wrapping up a little bit of a more hail into it on the south side. For a couple of minutes there, just real brief, it did have like what looked like a clear spot RFD punching around, and it did look like it was trying to put a little bitty wall cloud out on it, but that quickly went away as this new hail core or new wave of small pea-sized hail moved in. But I'm going to stay right here, keep watching, and make sure it doesn't do it again.
Yeah, no, and again, Trey, I mean, you're right there in perfect position. I mean, if anything's going to happen, I mean, you have an excellent shot of it right there. So again, we're going to continue to track, and I know we're kind of jumping around there just a little bit, but we were also just refreshing Peyton's video there as well. And Peyton, we may have your latest video coming in, and we may be trying to look at here what you're talking about there. So we'll get back to that in just 1 second. I want to, while we're down here,
William.
and again, not to skip around too much, but Peyton, go ahead. Yeah, if you've got something more to add, let's go back up, because I want to really take a look here at the latest on that storm. And again, I apologize for flipping around here a little bit, but let's go back up here. This is again is the Woodward County storm. It's just hanging on. I mean, it is technically severe. It's kind of hanging on there. But let's go and take a look at your video, Peyton, and I think we're still kind of seeing that rain-free base. It's kind of towards the bottom of your shot. It's a little bit hard to see, but I think it's kind of the same rain-free base it's had since it was in the Woodward area. But it's just a small little compact area, but it's there. And I think we're seeing it now, Peyton. So give us an update again on this storm. This is going to be up here near the Quinlan area, but this is what Peyton's talking about. This is a really compact storm, but it's continued to have this little compact rain-free base. And again, you're seeing it right there. But Peyton, go ahead.
Yeah, William. Okay, so I think the reason why maybe my shot's been frozen is because we have been sitting here in the same location for a minute. It is really doing its thing right here in front of us, man. I mean, we've watched this thing basically grow up from a small shower. Really, though, it's really starting to take shape up here. It is really getting, really trying to get its act together, man. Cloud bases are lowering. What I believe is a good apparent wall cloud. We are looking just straight to the east. Just straight to the east, coming out of Moreland. Can you see my shot?
No, we got your shot. No, we've got your shot perfectly now, and it is moving now. I think it maybe was froze for a second, but we do have your shot. And I mean, it again, it's that same rain-free base, and that we've been tracking now. It seems like for probably the last hour or so with that cell. I don't know if you can tilt your camera just a little bit to the left. We're just kind of losing the shot a little bit, but there it is. And again, that's what Peyton is talking about. It's just a real compact, tight little area. But again, it's still something to watch. Again, this storm is severe. There's quarter-size hail possible with it. The storm really hasn't taken off and gone well over severe levels, but it's just kind of been maintaining. And again, this is what Peyton is talking about. And just like with Trey's storm down there, with any storm today, you know, middle to late May, you've got to watch these storms very carefully, because the tornado threat's not zero as we get deeper into the evening. So these are all little pieces of the weather puzzle, if you will, that we have to watch carefully. But again, this is a storm for you folks up there around the Quinlan area. And again, Peyton Epperly doing a great job. I mean, literally right there, he's been on it since the Woodward area. And let's go take a look real quick here. And again, there's a really great shot. It's almost like a saucer. And in fact, Peyton, as we're looking at this, you almost couldn't say a bell-shaped mesocyclone. There's not a lot of vertical development with it, but look at the bell. Can you see the bell feature? How it just sticks out? I mean, this would almost be just a classic picture there, but there's one side of the bell there. There's the other side of the bell, and then there is the rain-free base right there at the bottom. But again, that right there is just a classic-looking bell-shaped mesocyclone. But again, you can see there's just not a lot of vertical development there on the top side of it. And then right there in the middle, that would be where we would try and develop a wall cloud, and then anything additional would come down from there. But again, hopefully you're able to, again, at home or wherever you're watching, able to truly make that out. But again, just within the cloud structure there, again, edge of the bell, and there's the bottom. You can almost also call it kind of like a saucer shape right there as well. That's what sometimes people call it. But that's a classic bell-shaped mesocyclone. And then the area of spin, if it were to develop, would be right back down in there. And again, just an amazing shot there that Peyton has, again, with that cell there right around the Quinlan area. So again, we're tracking that carefully. And again, right now, quarter-size hail. I think the one thing we'd have to watch on this one is if we get just a little bit more in the way of vertical development with it. If we would have more vertical development, then the hail sizes would also get bigger with that one as well. But it's been maintaining itself. It's not necessarily getting weaker. It's not necessarily getting stronger. It's just kind of sitting there maintaining. Let's do this. Let me back out here. And I want to go back down to the south. And Trey, we're still just getting some indications here that this storm down here still just kind of has this broad mesocyclone on it. And I know you're still down there on Highway 51. Let's go take a look at Trey's video here. And as we do that, Trey's video is there on the left-hand bottom, rather. But Trey, give us an update on this storm. Again, we've still got this, it's a real broad area of spin, but it's looking, especially right there around the Carlton area, it's just looking just a little more organized. And that the hail core, by the way, is just to the north of Southern now. Then it's going to be right there north of Southern on Highway 51. And there's easily an opportunity of some $50 possible there. And Trey, your shot may have moved just slightly. But as soon as you kind of get back to being able to kind of center it up there, let us know. But give us an update on this cell that's currently moving through the southern area.
Further south on it, so I can still keep a good eye on it. It looked like it had lost one of its. It's getting a new area of spin. It's kind of recycling a little bit. So that's why I'm dropping south, just to make sure I can keep an eye on that new area of spin for you.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's perfect. And what Trey's saying is kind of this area. And he was talking about earlier kind of like an RFD or rear flank downdraft. And sometimes these storms will kind of wrap up in on each other. And so this storm where we kind of had a little bit more of a pronounced hook on it, see how it's kind of wrapped up in. So that was the RFD coming around. And so that area of spin is kind of going away. And then we kind of have this new area down here. Now keep in mind, as we're saying areas of spin, there's no immediate tornado threat. These are just things that we're watching carefully. And sometimes these areas of spin can help to maximize the hail core off to the north. That is what we're seeing here with this $50 size hail, again, just north of Southern there, up Highway 51. So we'll continue to track that far northern Blaine County here. But again, kind of this new broad area of spin is coming up. And again, Trey, his video, the reason we lost the shot is he's just repositioning. And again, we'll have it again coming up momentarily. And then again, there's that shot up there around the Quinlan area of where Peyton Epperly is. And again, still just that bell-shaped mesocyclone. I want to zoom out the radar here. I want to give everyone just kind of an overview of what we have going on. And so everything we have going on currently, and really as expected this evening, it's all going to be up in west central and northwestern Oklahoma. So the Oklahoma City Metro back down in here, southern Oklahoma, far eastern Oklahoma. Again, we've already had our storms earlier today. This morning, potent round of storms came through, especially for our friends over in eastern Oklahoma. Had a tornado in southwestern Oklahoma down around the Geronimo area, south of Lawton. That's a preliminary rating of an EF2 type tornado down there. Did hit at least one home with fairly substantial damage. That was earlier this morning around 7:30. But now as we're heading into your Saturday evening, for most of Oklahoma, it's going to be a quiet evening. The only exception to that is now for our friends up here in northwestern Oklahoma, and also the cell that continues outside of the severe thunderstorm watch there in northern Blaine County. So we've got storm trackers on everything going on here. We're tracking all of this very carefully, but we've got a couple severe thunderstorm warnings currently. And again, there is an opportunity for some large hail as we go through the evening. So again, that's what we're doing, but I just want to show everyone where we're talking about. And again, that all of this here is confined to portions of far northwestern Oklahoma. So let's go and zoom back in here. And what I want to do, and looks like, Trey, looks like your shot's kind of coming back to within range there. I want to get back over here towards the Quinlan area, and again, that's where we have Peyton Epperly, and he's still eyeballing this storm. And again, it's not that the storm is really strengthening, and it's not that it's weakening. It just continues to kind of maintain itself, and it's going to be approaching the Highway 281 corridor right there around the Winoka area and locations to the south. It's moving through the Belva area right now. And again, there's still an opportunity for some quarter-size hail. That is severe, but it's not extremely large hail. And so there is an opportunity for some large hail as we go through the evening. But Peyton, we're still looking at this. It's still kind of got this bell-shaped mesocyclone. It's an extremely well-pronounced rain-free base. There's not a lot of vertical development with it, but it's just an amazing shot as we're looking at this storm. And there it is. There's another look at it right there. And again, this is the rain-free base, the bell-shaped mesocyclone we were just talking about moments ago. But here it is right here. Again, not a lot of vertical development with this, but there is an area of spin kind of wrapped up in here. And again, right now the storm basically producing some quarter-size hail, but a very picturesque storm, if you will. But Peyton, give us an update on that one.
All right, William, so we're still heading to the east on 412. We're getting a little closer to it now. But I was going to ask you, do you think that this is getting a little closer to that storm that's just in front of it? Because we can now see the base on the storm in front of it. I'm seeing both bases here. The one you're looking at right here, that's the main shot of my screen, is pretty high base, but it does have some rotation to it. I'm starting to be able to see the base of the one farther to the east in front of it. We could be around the Carmen area, just to the west of Carmen.
Yeah.
I'm seeing both, but I'm just kind of wondering if that storm's going to suck in this. But we are playing, we're still right here next to it.
Yeah, it may try to, but there is still some decent separation. The other storm is kind of pulling off there to the east as well. So we'll have to see. There's a chance that those cells can merge or it may get ingested. It is this storm here specifically is the weaker storm, but there's still quite a bit of separation. They're not necessarily moving directly into each other. So we'll have to watch it and see. I think this is still just a storm we're going to have to watch. Again, like I said, it's not necessarily strengthening and it's not necessarily weakening, but again, it's just one that really, really bears watching. That cell that you were talking about just to your east, back over here towards the Tacoma area, there is a little bit of a weakening trend with that one as well. And so this is going to be back over here towards the Tacoma area, hailstorm here, also around the Hopeton area. This is primarily going to be east now of Highway 281, but there's the hail core tracker, and again, where you're seeing some of the aquas and the yellow showing up. Again, there's going to be an opportunity for some quarter-size hail there, but again, earlier this storm had maybe some $half plus size hail, but again, there's a bit of a weakening trend here. Let's also take a look here at velocities within the storm and the spin rate. And again, right now, at least within that one, nothing too concerning. But again, this is primarily just a hailstorm. And again, it's going to be tracking basically through the Tacoma area, eventually Lambert, eventually Cherokee, and again, pushing over there into portions of Alfalfa County, right there along the Highway 64 corridor. Again, so for you friends up there in northern, north central Oklahoma, heads up on this. Again, a hailstorm tracking in your direction. And then also up here in far northern Alfalfa County, Burlington back over through Byron, there's another hailstorm. And this is kind of turned into kind of a multi-cell cluster up here of storms. And again, you can see that hail core just north of Highway 64. That's kind of come up a little bit. And there may be an opportunity for some quarter-size hail, slightly larger than quarters, just north of Highway 64, east out of Alva. And in general, that's going to be tracking up towards Burlington. So again, quarters, $half. Again, these are fairly marginal severe storms there in far north central Oklahoma. There's a storm that Peyton's on again there in the Winoka, coming into the Winoka area. It's got at least the broad area of spin with it. Again, dynamic video that we have in the top right-hand corner of the screen, left-hand corner, rather the screen that Peyton's showing us. I mean, dynamic video. But again, that storm not really, again, intensifying or weakening. It's just one that we got to continue to watch. And then we have this storm down here that Trey's on. And again, this has continued to have some broad rotation around the Carlton area, back over through the southern area. and it's still kind of got this rain-free base. And again, still just a broad area of spin. A lot of outflow winds out of the storm currently, Trey. But you're looking at it. Give us an update, Trey. You're just south of the storm, south of Southern there on Highway 51.
Yeah, William, I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm just now got south of it, trying to get out of just where I can get to where I can see the whole thing, whole storm now. And it's still trying to form a more pronounced base than it did have. But I think I'm about to go back north on 51 here and go up to Keene, and then see if down by Keene I can get south, and that way I'm on the southeast side of the storm, but not just south of it.
Yeah, no, good idea. And if I was you, I'd almost stay there in O'Keene. I think if you get too far to the south on it, we may lose your signal. But if you can get up there on a Highway 51 up there around O'Keene, we just don't want you to get too rural because then we just lose your video. But if you're in O'Keene, in general, this activity is going to be tracking right up there towards the O'Keene area. So you'd be in perfect position up there. But again, still just real broad areas of spin with this storm, just like with all these other storms we've been talking about. But there continues to be the rain-free base that we're talking about with your storm tray. But again, you can see, even as we look at the velocities here, there's really no, at least well-organized area of spin. So again, this is looking fairly raggedy. So green would be outbound wind here from the radar that we're looking at to the north. So this storm right now, it's a little outflow dominant. And again, as far as the rotation kind of back in and around on it, just not that well pronounced. So again, this is a raggedy area of spin. There has been some intermittent wall cloud activity, rain-free base activity that again, Trey's really been bringing us as we've gone through the late afternoon and early evening. We did have one report off the weather wire of a funnel cloud that was unconfirmed earlier with this. So we'll continue to track it, but at least right now this continues to be a hailstorm. And then you also see up there around the Quinlan area, that dynamic video again coming in there from Peyton Epperly up in northwestern Oklahoma. So again, very dynamic storms here. And again, we're tracking everything carefully, but at least right now, this storm in northern Blaine County, primarily just a hailstorm. And again, there's the hail core tracker. Again, aquas and yellow showing up. And again, in general, this activity tracking towards O'Keene, potentially tracking towards the Homestead area as well. So again, if you live in those hometowns, heads up, hailstorm coming on in. And again, there would be an opportunity there, again, for some $half size hail. Let's do this. Let's go ahead and zoom this out. And I want to go back up to the north, and I just want to again kind of do this slowly so everyone can see where we're talking about. And again, all the activity this evening is basically confined here to northwestern Oklahoma. And so Peyton, I know you're basically, it looks like you're approaching the Highway 412 281 junction with your red GPS dot there from what we're looking at. We're still seeing the base of that storm. Again, just not a lot of vertical development with it. It's still severe right over the Winoka area, and there's an opportunity there for some quarter-size hail sitting right over Highway 281. But again, the storm, it just continues to maintain. It doesn't weaken, it doesn't strengthen. It just kind of is where it is right now. And even as we're looking at the storm, the velocities, nothing really prominent poking out. Spin rate, nothing prominent poking out. And we've just kind of got that smaller hail core there south of Winoka. But again, it's provided for some dynamic video. Again, some of the shots coming into this, just because it's kind of in the open, it's kind of there by itself. And again, we've had this nice little pronounced rain-free base that we've been able to look at fairly carefully. But there it is. There's that shot. Again, it's a picturesque storm. And again, it's just kind of marginally severe right now. But Peyton, give us an update on this storm around the Winoka area.
Yes, William. Okay, so it doesn't look as impressive as it did probably 5 or 10 minutes ago. But we are still falling, still going west. We need to go up north just a little bit to try to get a better view on it for you. But, I mean, like you said, it's just maintain it. It's not anything to write home about. It's not anything great. I mean, it's just maintaining the flooding along, you know. And as the day goes by, you know, the temperature's still really, really warm here. We're sitting at 80 degrees right now, so we're still on the other side of the warm front. So, I mean, we're watching it, we're following it, and we'll get back to you if something happens.
Okay, really appreciate that update. And again, great job. Again, Peyton Epperly up there in northwestern Oklahoma, again, around the Quinlan area, but again, that storm kind of centered there around the Winoka area. Other severe storms here over around the Tacoma area. This is far eastern Woods County, pushing into portions of Alfalfa County. And again, as we're taking a look at this here fairly carefully, again, you can see hail core Again, essentially down there along the Highway 281 corridor, and the new hail core with this down around the Highway 45 corridor, it's going to be approaching the Carmen area, also back over through Lambert here as we go over the next 30 minutes. And then there's also another hail core here just north of Highway 64, and that's going to be just east out of Alva. So again, 2 hail cores here, and again, an opportunity for some half-dollar size hail essentially on both of those. I want to go over here and kind of take a closer look here on this activity. And again, this is going to be right there along Highway 45. And again, that's going to be just south of Tacoma. This has also got a fairly broad area of spin. Again, nothing too organized here, but pretty much everything we've been dealing with this evening has never really had much in the way of organized rotation. But again, that's also helping to kind of maximize the hail sizes here with this storm as well around and just south of the Tacoma area. So we're going to be tracking that one. Let me put this into motion. And again, as I do that, you can see the general motion here to the east and also to the northeast. So this is going to continue to track deeper there into portions of Alfalfa County. So out of Woods County, into Alfalfa County, but again, Lambert, Cherokee, again, Burlington, some of those hometowns. And eventually, if everything holds together just right, as far east as the Jet area, again, you folks could see some severe weather, again, with the hail threat as well, coming in here over the next 45 minutes. Again, there's that storm that Peyton's on right there around the Winoka area. Again, just kind of holding steady, no immediate change with that. And then here's the other storm that, again, Trey's on. And again, this is down here in Blaine County. And again, this one is the one that's had some at least fairly persistent mid-level rotation with it, but nothing that's ever really come close to trying to work its way down. Did at least try and maximize the hail sizes, and still right up there around the Okeene area, and that's going to be right up there around Highway 51. There will be an opportunity of some half-dollar size hail, so half-dollar is quite possible in Okeene coming in here over the next really 5 to 10 minutes as that hail core is essentially moving in right now. But let's get another update on that storm. Trey Smith is looking at it. He's right there in the southern area, and he's going to go up Highway 51, take the curve there back towards Okeene. But it looks like there's a bit of a weakening trend now with this cell, Trey. And as I'm just putting on some temperatures here, because there's a sharp contrast to temperatures around the state. Again, who saw rain earlier and who did not. And that's really playing with the temperatures, and that's playing with some of the instability here as well. But it's essentially going in from the mid-70s to some lower 70s. So we might see a weakening trend with this as this begins to approach Kingfisher County. But tell us where you are now, Trey, and go and give us another live update on the storm.
Yeah, right now I just took the turn off of 51 to go up towards Okeene, I believe, and right now I got a rainbow. That's about all we got right now. It is starting to weaken, but it could just be recycling. So I won't know until I get up there and take a peek at it.
Okay, and we really appreciate that update. And again, doing a great job on that cell right there. So again, right now we're primarily dealing with severe storms. And again, by the way, the severe thunderstorm watch has now been extended down into portions of Blaine and Kingfisher County. The Weather Service just did that again just a few minutes ago. You see those counties now turning blue as well. So here's what we're going to do. Again, we've been on live here for just a little over an hour and a half. Again, tracking this activity. Again, continuing to track hailstorms here in northwestern Oklahoma as expected. Again, you see the live video coming in there, and we'll continue to check in with our team of trackers. We're going to take about a 10-minute break, give them a quick break as well. And again, we'll be back with you here in just about 10 minutes or less, unless conditions change before then. Keep it here with Oklahoma Weather Tracker TV. We'll keep you up to date with the latest live weather information for Oklahoma.